10:30. Boom, there it is. She just, she is so good. She is so
She's
good.
very efficient. Yeah.
Isn't she? Yes.
Mhm.
That's why you need great people. So, without further ado, you know what? We will have others that will chime on, but I really appreciate you blessing us and honoring me with your time. And I just thought my goal here is that each and every week, one, I deliver meat, but I want to bring on real professionals, not just with KW. Like I said, Keith is with Coldwell Banker. You're with Abby Halliday, respected companies here in the marketplace. And I think that I love what I see in you. I love the way you're running your business, because traditionally, you're the exception to Abby. Now, I think that you're more the new Abby than the old Abby. And that's the reason why I wanted my audience to hear from you, because like I said, if we get caught up thinking Abby Halliday is this, and you know what, Abby Halliday used to be that, but that's not Abby today, right? And I think you're a shining example of what branding, marketing, is all about. And I think that you understand this is about your audience and your people, not Abby, right? Your
Yeah.
success is built on Mary Reeves, not on the back of Abby Halliday. So thank you. And we're anxious to hear whatever's on your heart.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ben. And I'm really honored and really humbled to be asked to even speak on this to y'all, because there's so many awesome agents. And the times when I've been on the call, there have been so many people that I'm like, oh my gosh, they're awesome and they do all this. So hopefully we can all kind of learn something, and I can get some stuff from y'all or some advice from y'all. But I come to real estate. I grew up on real estate. My mom was a top agent in Shreveport, Louisiana. She worked for Sam Fullilove, that's a long time ago. And I used to carry the coloring book from open house to open house. So we drag around and get keys, but it took me a long time to kind of circle back to that. So my background is that I went to TCU and had a journalism and education degree, worked at the Star Telegram, did this, then wanted to stay in Fort Worth with my boyfriend, who's my husband. So I decided to teach. So I always wondered where my parents were at this time giving me it. It was different back then. I've been married over 30 years. Your parents weren't so involved in every decision that you made. But then I taught school in Fort Worth and in Highland Park for 10 years. And when my second son was born, I stayed home. And that was by far the hardest job I've ever had. Real estate's a piece of cake compared to taking care of little ones, definitely. And then I needed to do something. I needed to get out of the house, and I wanted to go back to teaching full time, but my husband's an accountant, and that didn't work with our life. So I started substitute teaching. So I substitute taught in Plano for 14 years. And I'm telling you, that is a lot of my business. So I started over at 51. And you know, when you go to Champions and everybody's inviting you to stuff, Abby Halliday was the only one that invited me to anything. So that's why I joined Abby Halliday. But most people don't want an old lady who is like, you know, sitting in the front of the class trying to take notes and freak out about all this. And I got that. And it did crack me up to all the young people. Oh, I've got all these interviews. And I thought, oh, well. So that's how I ended up with Abby, which I love Abby and I love the people there. I think though, with the real estate, I mean, the first year I did okay. The second year I did better. The third year I changed up what I was doing and did a lot better and doubled what I did year two. And then this year I was on pace to get close to doubling what I did year three, just because I thought I pulled, and chime in if you have any questions or anything, but one of the things I learned from teaching school all those years is that most every impasse or almost every problem can be solved with a little timeout. And I'm dead serious, because people fuss, people get mad, people this, people that. Take a break, go get a drink of water and come back. And I know that sounds stupid, but I'm telling you, so many times in these business deals or with clients or with people, your sphere, and they say they're going to do something and they don't, we take a little break. I really am big on the follow through and the follow up, I just closed this year 3 deals from people that I met at my very first open house. And yeah, they took a long time to go in. Another thing I try to do is really be a good listener. And if you've ever, I mean, think about when you were in school, there's all kinds of different types of learners. Some people have to take notes, they got to write it down. Some people have to see it. Some people have to hear it. The people who write notes, they have to do it. That same principle has helped. I've applied that to real estate because you have so many different types of clients. If it's a younger client, they don't want to be called every day. If it's older, my age, they do want an update every day, especially if you're doing the high-end houses, I have found. I mean, we treat everybody the same, but I found in the $1 million+ market, there was people wanted to be updated every single day, even when there was nothing to update, which stinks because a lot of times there's not. So connections are everything. I mean, when I started, I sent a note to everybody from Booster Club, PTA, church, sorority, my whole Christmas card list, everybody, TCU friends, all of these. And being a teacher, I did write a lot of letters of recommendations for kids all over the place. I also, being an English teacher, helped kids all over my neighborhood, which is Windhaven, with their college letters. And you know, I sent those people a note and said, oh, and by the way, now I'm in real estate. And that has paid off big time. So even though, you know, I'm not the young social media razzle dazzle, you know, putting my face on everything, which I know we need to do, that's not my strong point. But I will say something that helped me a lot was turning to video with every listing. And Andrea does that, and she works with Rick Davis like I do. Since I started using Rick, my business doubled, you know, almost tripled for this last year, because while, you know, I'm not going to be filming myself, my every move, you know, hey, I'm putting on shoes today or whatever, like some of the young people do or whatever, because I'm not that interesting. However, video, people love it. And Rick told me they're not looking at you, they're looking at the houses. And I have such the little old ladies love to look at these videos. One of my clients, Denise Ratley, I told their house over in our house in Windhaven and sold them another one. Her mom lives in Tyler and she's almost 90 years old. All those old ladies watch all my videos, which is so funny. But she said, we love to watch those. That is something that helped me to get the message out there more. So that was to get to another type of learner, another type of market. I have sold houses from people who said, hey, I saw that video on Facebook. So that was how I changed. Now, traditional EBI, I don't, you know, I love EBI and everything that it stands for, but I couldn't do those traditional things because number one, was not so ingrained in them because I hadn't done that for so long. But number two, when something's not working and what you're doing isn't working, you got to change it up. And when I went to the video was when I had that big listing on Rambling Way. And and Ben, you can understand this, and Karen, Sims, if you're on the call, you understand the women around here, these Real Housewives of West Plano, is what I call them. So wonderful, great, you know, but everybody has a story and everybody's, you know, it seems like a lot of people my age are getting a divorce right now. So I'm so sorry. How can I help you? And it's not right away, but a lot of my business is from divorce. And when I got the Rambling Way listing, that was originally, which it was overpriced, not because of me, that was originally listed over $4 million. And that's a lot for a first-year agent to get. But, oh, that was my second year, excuse me. But that listing taught me so much about what you have to do. I mean, unclog toilets, pick up dog poop, break up parties, pick up beer cans all the time. Not from the owner. She moved out from her son, who's my son's friend. You know, you do it and it doesn't matter what you do. So we took that listing was going, we couldn't get it sold. We took it off for COVID for a month to reset. Rick came in, we did video, we blasted it everywhere, and we had 3 contracts in the next week. So that's just kind of how I do it. I try to approach it like being a teacher, not, you want to educate your buyers, but you also want to meet them where they are. So if they're somebody who they want to be called and they want to discuss things and they want to go over everything, you got to do that. Or if they want to meet and sit down and go over wish lists, or if they want to see 1 million houses, which I know we're all going through right now, you got to kind of figure out what type of learner they are, I think. And that has really helped me, because I like to write stuff down, but a lot of people are not like that. They want to see it. So they want to go out and they want to, go online on Zillow and tell me about 8,000 houses that are this price, that price, et cetera. You kind of got to meet them where they are. So I really think that a lot of the training from teaching and working with kids, and, I always joke that real estate's a lot like substitute teaching, in that you're dealing with unreasonable people a lot of the time, but not always, mostly wonderful people. But all the basic stuff, don't, be courteous, wait your turn, take a time out. It all really applies. It sounds so elementary, and it is. But when it comes down to it, whether you're luxury, this, that, people are just people. And I think that has helped me to be successful, is that. And pulling on that sphere, the PTA, this, that, everything. Well, Ben, you were real involved with your kids and with the basketball.
Absolutely.
I still have people that I met at PSA years ago who I've helped.
Yeah.
And that's a good one.
Right.
That's a real good one. I went to dinner the other night with Michael, my little one's old basketball team. And there was 8 of us there, including myself. So out of the 7, I had sold 6 of them a house and sold them another house. That's from our Pee Wee basketball, our little basketball team. So I wish I had something like, I've got the social media and all this stuff to share with y'all, but it's just really, you got to get in there and work and work and work and work, and just pay attention to how your clients receive you and where they are. You're going to get people who, especially in a divorce, who they don't want to do anything. They're out. And they say, I'm going to have an estate sale. Okay. How can I help you? Well, you can do the whole thing, because I'm going to be out the night before partying, and you got to come over in the morning and do it. Now, you do it because you got to meet them where they are, and if they're in a bad place. So there's just, y'all do all this stuff, all of you. And Ben, you're the master. You know how to do all this stuff. You've been so good for so long and have so much knowledge. But I think that the video and that really changed my business.
Well, and I think that Rick does such a great job, and I'm not sure how. I think I heard of Rick through Real Producers, and I think that when I reached out to him, he referenced you and Andrea Miller, and so then it was funny. So then I started paying attention. I was like, oh yeah, I saw that video, and then I was like, well, I showed that house for you, right? And I don't even remember what address that was. And then I utilized Rick. I think I've used him twice. It's funny, but I don't use him for, I say, lower end stuff that's really under $500,000. But I think I've used him twice for things that were basically 750 plus. And I like the presentation, and like you said, it showed me in a different light, right?
It's just different. And I think that myself and Andrea were kind of the guinea pigs. We were the first ones to start this. And I just, the Rambling Way house, I had to sell it. It was a good friend. She had gone through a divorce. She'd already moved out. Her ex-husband had moved in on Ranchero behind her. She needed to move and be gone. And I had shown that house to the person that bought it before. Then the video hit after COVID. They saw it and they came back down from New York to see it again. And so that was good. But yeah, again, and those people were young, and I had to physically walk them through the house, show them everything, and then sit down with them and go over every single bit of the contract. They had an agent, but it was her mother from another state. They needed a lot of hand holding. but for $3 million or whatever, that's fine. So that's kind of where I am with all that. And I don't know, you guys all probably have like so many great things to share, but that's just kind of what, you know, and I do think a lot of it, trying to flick at my notes here. One of the things I did too, that just real quick and off topic here,
No, you're fine.
is I tried to really pull from my mom how she treated people. And I try to keep people nice. I'm not as nice as her. But when she used to go on these wild goose chase with these people that want to see all these houses, she'd say, you just kind of take it as basic training for a realtor. And that happens to me all the time. And I know a couple that I showed all over Oak Cliff. They wanted this house, and I didn't know Oak Cliff. I know a lot of areas. And so you've been from basketball tournaments.
Yes.
I know Duncanville very well. I know Cedar Hill. I know all those areas. I know Lancaster from track meets. And you do too. Yeah. And I showed them houses for probably 7 months, and then they broke up. Okay. But now I know Oak Cliff. So that's that. Another thing that I do that I got from my mom, and I just do, is I pay for a deep cleaning of the house before they put it on the market. And that's about $300. And I think that takes a lot of stress off of people. And all of y'all probably do that, but that's something that helped me to kind of set myself apart with, look, I know this is a stressful time. Let me take this off your plate so that when those people walk through the door, it's perfect. And my mom, well, we used to go over and clean with my mom. That was in the 70s, you know, but all that. But I do the same thing everybody else does. You know, you stage it, you do the pictures, you do that. But really, it doesn't matter if you're 50 plus, 30 plus, pull on those people that you know, and if they don't use you, that's okay. I mean, it does hurt your feelings, especially now when they're like, well, I've got someone who'll do it for 0.5%. And, you know, are they going to get the service you get? No. And it'll come back on the market and it'll be a mess, like one of the ones down the street from me has been. And then she called me and said, we're going to take it off for 30 days and I'd like you to help us now. So that's really, that's it. One of the big things too, always be gracious, even when you don't get the listing and something doesn't work out, because you don't want to burn bridges, because everybody knows somebody or knows somebody's kid or something like that. And you got to just treat others the way you want to be treated. So that's hard sometimes, especially when people get sassy with you. With the text messages.
Amen. Amen.
And some people don't like to talk. Some other agents don't like to talk. But when I get a snarky text message, I always pick up the phone and call. And that's from being a mom, you know. And how many times do you call your kids and they don't pick up the phone? And then they text you and say, what's up? You know, pick up that phone. But anyways, all that, you just got to cater to different people. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's really, that's kind of how I did it. I would say the video and the just taking every day, you know, taking time out,
right,
making them wait their turn, get a drink of water, whatever. But all those help, especially in this market. Well,
and I think that you think that it's nothing special. And I think that your family's history, I think the fact that you're teaching, and we've always said that there are two professions that when you come into real estate from being a teacher or working in nursing, you're destined for success, because you're used to structure, you're used to discipline, you tend to have patience, you've got a nurturing, you know, aspect to who it is that makes you, you have a caring spirit. So I'm not surprised at all. And I think that clearly the things that we can take away from you, patience, again, meeting people where they're at, and just slowing
that's hard.
down. Yeah, it is. It is. But let's slow
especially
down.
when they're jerks.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
And in this market, people are blaming you when they don't get the house.
Absolutely.
Or this after this, and they're frustrated. And they say, that's it, I'm going to give up. And you're thinking, man, I have written 4 offers for you. I have been dragging you around every week. No, let's not give up. We're going to get this. And that's when I think you do need to say, okay, let's just regroup. Let's go have a glass of wine, or let's go up and have a cup of coffee, and let's take a little break and regroup, because they're taking it out on you, but they're not mad at you.
Right.
And it's just like when a kid would come to school and be having a bad day or acting up, it didn't have anything to do with you. It had something to do with something else. And I think sometimes as realtors, we get so into this, we're trying to find this house and these people and this and that, that we don't realize that, something else might have happened.
Right.
So we need to take a step back and think, okay, again, meet them where they are.
Absolutely. Well, again, see, I think that your message resonates with so many. Keisha, she said, thanks so much for your transparency and your humbleness.
Well,
And
thank you.
yeah, Scott says, thank you so much. Great information, especially, to the late bloomers, right? Because, there's so many. And again, many on this call, believe it or not, are 50 plus, right? And even at our mature age, we can still succeed at a very high level. And so you're a shining example of that. You didn't get in until late, and yet there's so many just basic things that you're doing that have created the success. There's nothing over the top. And again, I think it shows that you don't have to be over the top. We don't have to be, Instagram models and influencers and showcasing food and putting on our shoes. And
I do need to
yoga
work on
pants.
that.
Well,
We've discussed this. And I do need to work on that.
Right.
I've taken 2 classes this week on that, and I just think that's it. And then I get up and I'm like, Right. I go to the Tom Muhlenbeck Rec Center. I don't go to a fancy place. I've always gone to the rec center since it opened. And I do a lot of business there. They're all awesome and wonderful. I love my people there. But I did a Instagram thing, and the guy said, go there and film yourself working out and film everybody else. And I thought, oh, no, not really. I mean, that's 5:30 in the morning. And, I'm not, maybe if I had a filter I could put behind me on, it's just connections are important. And if you work out side by side from somebody next to somebody for 10 years, and then they say, hey, I'm selling my house, say, hey, I'd love to help you. And I know you feel stupid sometimes saying that stuff, but I just had a lady at the rec center. She said, I'm going to move, I'm going to downsize, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, and she said, you're a realtor, aren't you? I go, yeah. And she said, I'd love to talk to you about that. And I said, well, great, I'd love to talk to you. She goes, but I think I'm going to use Judy's realtor, another lady there. And I said, well, I'm Judy's realtor. So that's, it's okay to ask, even in the morning at 5:30 a.m. You don't have to hit the hard sell there, but just those things. And for the luxury market or the higher end market, which I didn't set out to do that. I just had some big ones. People are people, as you know, Ben.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter. You can make those connections, and they're still there working out in the morning and doing this and doing that. So
thank you. Thank you so much. So our friend Sarah says, thank you. You're my hero. So she's in your office. So I love Sarah. So Sarah, thank you again for joining us. I appreciate that. So Mary, unless there's something, another nugget, because we've gotten plenty from you. So
that's just, I don't have any secret sauce or anything.
See, again, stop that.
Well, okay.
Because again, you are you. You're so unique. And you're like, yeah, I don't have any secret sauce, but yeah, your secret sauce is everything that you've told us, right? It's being authentic, it's being transparent, it's being patient, right? And you bring that teacher, a substitute teacher. And I think that, for the adults in the room, and that's the majority of us, sometimes, I need to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You know what? You need to take a time out, right? And so
take a breath.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll resume this. So no, that's great information. So
and one more thing real quick. I taught in crummy schools in Fort Worth ISD, and then I lucked out and got a job at Highland Park. 99% of the kids are the same. You might have more resources, but people are the same as our parents, as our people. So yeah, maybe this house is a $3 million house and it's way better, but the guy who's got the 250,000, he still wants you to listen to him and stage it and make him feel, it is different because of time. But, that's one thing I really learned. People are people. Some are more squeaky wheels. And, but you just got to go in there and educate them.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You're teaching lessons,
Oh.
right? I love that. I love that, right? You didn't say it, but that's what I inferred from everything you shared with us. And Stephen Markell said, yeah, meet them where they are. Yeah, again, that's a nugget, right? So, and don't sell yourself short there. And again, I think we should all be utilizing more video to help tell the story. And it's not so much us, right? Sometimes we think the focus is on us. No,
They're not watching you.
They're not watching you. It's that beautiful property. And it's an image that you've created, right? And that I love about you. So let's do a deal together. And
I'm ready to. I said, if I
am-
wouldn't have gone into real estate, Ben Baker would have been my realtor. So there you go, just from conversations at PSA,
right. Again, I
That's a
appreciate you.
long time ago.
I love you. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
honoring us. And
Thank you guys for listening, and
Absolutely.
let's sell a house. Do you have one? Do you have one you could help me with? So
yeah, right. We all, again, here every morning, we basically end our calls with, let's go take a listing, right? Because again, that's where our bread is buttered. And right now, that's the only way to ensure that you're going to get a paycheck is to have a listing, right? So that we know. So again,
very hard.
Guys, I appreciate everyone who chimes in week in and week out. Next week, we'll take a break because many of us will be in Orlando. And so we'll resume the following in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, I can tell you the next month, I've got some beauties. I've got real estate rock stars and coaches that are going to bring the meat, like I say, each and every week. So I love you and I appreciate you. And let's go take a listing. How about that?
Thank you guys. Thanks,
See you now.
Ben. Bye-bye.